the Wonder Demon and Necromedes the Thrice-Reborn, and welcome to Pickles Picks. This is Dune, Chapter 8. Mark on Audiobook, Hour 2, 23 minutes and 1 second to Hour 2, 44 minutes, 53 seconds. We're sponsored by Epic Fantasy Novels on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Huey, 1,000,000 deaths were not enough for Huey. And what do you think about that, Necromedes?
Well, one death is usually enough for most people, but I've died many, many times. So I, in fact, come back every single time. Not a big deal for me.
So, we set the scene with Jessica and Huey. Huey begins his machinations to get Jessica's trust further. It works, because Jessica isn't a truth-sayer.
He kind of built up Jessica earlier, making her a big deal, but he fails at the most important thing, trying to find who the traitor is.
Well, I think the thing about Jessica is that she seems to represent charisma. You know, everybody seems to like her, even though, I mean, there's nothing not to like about her, but there's nothing to like about her either. She's kind of a two-dimensional character.
I don't think so.
Well, at least so far. I think we'll learn a lot more about her, but, you know, to me right now, she just kind of seems like a placeholder for something waiting to happen. She gives a very thoughtful speech about not being wanted on the planet, and she feels sorry for the native people, who, I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for at this point, because they just seem to be, you know, people that are trying to get on with their lives on a very uninhabitable planet, and then comes along the Empire, and they decide that they need this exotic, hard-to-get export that puts the native people, you know, also in danger harvesting it.
Actually, it's mostly people imported that are harvesting it, not natives.
Well, I realize that they're bringing in people to harvest it, but, you know, they've always got people working for them on the ground. At least, I feel most places that produce work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, she admits the Harkonnens were awful to them, and they gave the palm trees more water than the people. There are 20 palm trees outside, and they represent 100 men that can be kept alive every day. Instead, they're keeping alive the palm trees. Jessica admits that some people look towards the palms as, you know, hoping that some dates are going to fall and they'll be able to get fruit. But Huey brings up the point that it's the wrong season.
Just to remember how Huey deflected any chance of how he deflected her from detecting his treason, right?
Mm-hmm.
By pretending to be unusually familiar with her by you calling her first name.
Yeah, that seemed to be, you know, I don't know how much I would have bought that if I was Jessica. Just because it didn't seem like a very good, you know, cover to me. When he was saying, oh, well, you know, when it's just me thinking about you, I think about you as Jessica, not the Lady Jessica. And then they have this whole back and forth. I don't know why that it just seemed too neat and tidy.
You think?
Well, at least to me it was.
Okay. Seems like in the future, Huey is like the 30 pieces of silver guy, Judas, according to the intro.
Yeah. Because Huey hates it. I mean, he even, you know, as he's talking to Jessica, he talks about, pardon me, he thinks about the fact that the Atreides family and Jessica are likable, and it makes his treachery much harder. But he has to contribute to the downfall to the Atreides in order to get the Harkonnens to a place where he believes they're going to be compromised, and then he can get a strike at the Harkonnens.
Yes, that's the one we finally figure out what Huey's motivation is. Because Harkonnens captured his wife and probably tortured her.
Yeah, he's not quite sure if she's alive or dead anymore.
But he doesn't think he's ever going to see her alive.
How they've managed to keep this a secret from the Atreides, I have no idea. Because, I mean...
You think that Lady Jessica, she's been with him, for 6 years, they say? And she doesn't know about his wife being captured by Harkonnens? I don't understand this.
And also the fact that his wife is also... She's a reverend mother, isn't she?
No.
She's not a reverend mother. She's just one of their order. Wouldn't they notice one of their order just going missing?
Yeah, that's another thing. You'd think that there would be consequences for the Bene Gesserit, for the Harkonnens just stealing someone's wife at the Bene Gesserit.
Well, apparently not if they're not a part of the big plan.
Yeah. That's weird.
It's not very nice.
I wonder, why did he get to marry a Bene Gesserit, too? I mean, I assume everything's planned, so there must have been some plan.
Well, maybe she wasn't, well, I mean, the only thing that we know that the Bene Gesserits are doing is the breeding program. They could have 100 different other programs going on that isn't, the point of this story, so we don't really know about them.
Yeah, but one thing we do know is that they never bred him, so they didn't want his genetic line.
Right, so at least she's not part of that plan.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So big thing is that he wanted to kill Baron Harkonnen.
Right.
And he thought once he was triumphant, he let his guard down, and somehow then he could get to assassinate Baron Harkonnen. We don't know how yet, but we guess we'll find out.
So Huey and Jessica talk about Paul, who's resting in the next room. He's already picked out his own bedroom.
Another modest one, too.
Yeah, they don't have any furniture yet. He's just got a cot set up. I don't know if that's just something that... I mean, I would assume that their, military guard and procession, came before the family did, and so they would have, some sort of primitive furniture, just for them camping out in the castle before the actual furniture gets there.
Yeah.
So Paul's taking a nap, and Paul's mother thinks that he's a pretty mashup of both of his parents. At the same time, Yui's wondering why he never had children.
Well, I want to never let him have children.
Right, and I think part of that is also jealousy, because at least I got the impression that Yui knows that Jessica went against her orders and had Paul instead. So kind of like, well, if she's going to go against the Bene Gesserits to give her husband what he wants, then why didn't my wife go against them to give me what I wanted? Which I think kind of says a little bit about his character.
I'm not sure if we know who knows that Jessica went against the Bene Gesserit.
Well, I mean, people had to have noticed. If Bene Gesserits only give birth to females and suddenly she gives birth to...
I don't think they only, but primarily.
Oh, okay. I thought they only did.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. While they're doing this, they're noticing that the sky is very dark, and I really wish I knew more about the way that clouds and the atmosphere and all of that, stuff works.
Well, it's another world, so who knows how it works?
Right.
Wacky environment.
But they're talking about how the sky is dark because there's a lack of water on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica has been looking into and has actually grown a little bit obsessed with why water supplies peter out. Things make no sense to her. So what happens is they'll start to drill a well, and the well will start to have a little trickle of water, and then the trickle will just dry up. It's not like they can get a good water supply from anywhere on the planet.
You think they do more investigation on it, given how much value they place in water?
I know, but it seems to me like they're more... It honestly seems to me like they're much more interested in exploiting the planet for its production value than looking to maintain it as a place for people to live. Because, I mean, the Empire can just send supplies and stuff, and then people can camp out while they're doing all of their work in the desert, and then, they can send them back home. They aren't really. It doesn't seem to me like they're looking at any type of renewable resources.
Well, they are harvesting water from the atmosphere.
Well, yeah, they are, but it seems like they could be doing a lot better because they say they made a big deal when they came on the planet because they were bringing so many people. The people were very upset until they said that they were bringing in more water harvesters.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like, so why didn't they do that to begin with? Why can't they just do that to begin with? I mean, what's the big holdup? Except for the fact that they don't find it necessary.
Who doesn't know? What do you got over there? Another of your demons talking to you?
Yeah, the Alexa demon. Wow, that really threw me off. It just kind of seems like, the Empire is more interested in sustaining the Empire than they are in sustaining the planet.
Well, they seem to have no real knowledge about the Freemen, how many there are or what they do.
Yeah, they don't really seem to care a whole lot about anything going on this planet other than the production of spice.
Yep, and really it's the linchpin of the entire world. It's like the entire universe, the entire galaxy, the Empire all depends on the spice.
Which makes me wonder, how did they even discover this to begin with? I mean, like, how did this even happen?
Apparently, the spice was not discovered until later, after all these guilds and the Bene Gesserit were formed.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was precursors to the spice for use in travel. So I think the prequel books all explain that, probably in too much detail.
Okay.
I haven't read them all. I can't remember much about them. But yeah.
So, let's see. Where are we in my notes? So, while Jessica's going on and pondering about the water, Yui says something snide about the Harkonnens, and Jessica didn't know that he didn't like them that much. Which also comes into how do they not know that his wife is not missing?
Well, not like them that much. He hated them.
Yeah, he absolutely hates him. He said that she said something like, she had never heard him speak. Even Duke Leto had never spoken the name in such, a vindictive way.
Yeah.
He didn't know that he hated them that much. I don't understand why he can't tell Jessica. I don't understand why this is a secret.
You think there'd be better ways to get revenge on the Harkonnens? Like
if he had some firepower behind him.
But he wants to personally kill Baron Harkonnen.
Right.
And that's driving him insane, I guess, because it doesn't... He's killing everybody he's friends with to have one shot at killing Baron Harkonnen.
Right.
Because of his wife.
Yeah, this plot is not a good plot.
Well, I won't say it's not a good plot.
I meant for the book, like, just, it's not a good plan for this guy.
It's irrational. It's different.
Jessica apologizes for bringing him into a Harkonnen trap because she knows that it is some sort of a trap. The people are already unsettled about the water supply because of bringing in more people.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica notices that their men are far better armed than they were on Caladan. And Hawaz. Death and defeat are his gift. and she thinks that they'll need those gifts.
Hawaz?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Hawaz?
Hawaz is one of the guys that I lost his name in my notes. What?
Do for Hawa?
Yes.
That's our Mentat. He's not Hawaz. What?
What? Well, his name is written down badly. I'm sorry. And Jessica wonders if the Duke chose her because he needs a loyal secretary. And she's scared of everything that she's learning about this planet. And it's making her want to learn even more about what's going on the planet, which isn't necessarily helping her state of mind.
Yeah. It just reminds me, we know what's going to happen based on all these little intro paragraphs, at least intro to each chapter. We know basically what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we're prescient, just like Paul's going to be, assumably. And it makes it interesting to how the book is, I guess we always know what the end of most stories are. I mean, we watched Titanic knowing how it was going to end. And we know how this is going to end generally.
Well, I mean, is that the end of the story or is that the beginning of the story?
We'll find out.
Okay, so Jessica wants everybody to remember the Leto comes from royal lines and the Harkonnens come from show money. And I think that she thinks that people will respect them or treat them differently once they know that their motivations for being on the planet are different, but I'm not sure that that's actually going to mean anything to anybody besides Jessica.
Mm-hmm. I think they do mention there's centuries old. There's a centuries old beef between the two houses.
Right, there's an old feud that comes from the Atreides having their Harkonnen banished for cowardice after a big battle,
which is a big deal, and that one of the prequel bought novels does explain all how that happened.
Right, but they never tell you exactly how long ago it was or what it was over or what actually happened.
This makes it more interesting, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's 1,000 years ago.
Mm. Well, it does matter if it's 1,000 years ago if people are still talking about it.
Yes.
Yui thinks upon spice prices and how the prices fluctuate and how the Harkonnens were a part of that. And he talks about the first time he ever took spice with Jessica, who says that it tasted like cinnamon to her.
Tasted different every time.
Right. It tailors itself to the taker.
It's a mysterious magical substance.
Which is really strange. So, what is spice? Is it something that you eat?
They don't even know what it comes from.
Right.
You think something so important to the whole empire would be important enough to investigate?
It's like sandworm ambergris. Yeah, so and then just for some unknown reason he decides to take the initiative and ask Jessica why she never made the Duke marry her.
It seems I think that might be another plot to throw her off, or keep her off balance.
Right, but I mean, this guy's ways of questioning and trying to manipulate people are really ham-fisted.
You think? Well, it worked.
Yeah, but I'm not sure it would work on anybody else besides her because she's got her mind on so many different things right now.
Well, she's been pretty much told that her husband's going to die.
Yeah, and she's going to be on this planet and she's got a son and he may be the chosen one and he may not be the chosen one. And she's worried about water and she's worried about people. And she wants to know what the Harkonnens are doing because I'm going to be honest, if she knows they're going to kill her husband, so what's the next step with her? Is she part of this plan or is she just like a non-entity in their eyes?
In whose eyes?
In the Harkonnens.
I assume they'd kill everybody, the whole family. I think that's the whole point. If I remember correctly from the previous chapter, they want to wipe out House Atreides completely.
Right. But that would just mean Leto and Paul. I mean, Jessica's not even his wife.
I think they want to kill her too.
Okay.
I mean, I think she would carry on as
So
the
she
leader.
needs to have an exit plan as well.
Yeah. Well, they do have that plan. The Bene Gesserit has seeded myths and legends to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I assume, is going to be something we'll be seeing in the subsequent chapters.
Mm-hmm. And Jessica admits that the reason that they never got married is because the Duke could still use his unmarried state to bring in alliances for people to think that they do have a possibility of getting a marriage alliance.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And Jessica doesn't want to force him to do anything. Jessica at this point becomes suspicious. And she knows that Yui's hiding something. And Yui is thinking that he doesn't want to betray people. She knows that he's hiding something, but she doesn't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, kind of being prying, which I honestly think if she was, do you think if Jessica questioned him, do you think he would just confess?
No. He's really out there with that. He wants revenge. There's another point you have to remember. He's got that Suk mark of training,
mm-hmm.
which should make him invulnerable to any, conversion like he's been, to betrayal. He shouldn't be able to harm anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's what that Suk mark does. Do no harm enforced by some kind of psychological training.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's not that big of a deal that she isn't expecting it. It's the last person you expect. That Pyre de Vries is somehow able to get through it,
mm-hmm.
which is, there must be some kind of evil genius to do that.
But how is Pyre even getting access to him?
I don't know. I don't think we'll ever find out, at least not in this book.
Yeah. Well, the last thing that Jessica thinks is that she should put more trust in her friends. Which, Jessica, I'm telling you, man, not a good idea.
Is that, well, she should know that someone must be betraying them.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, she should be at trust no one. She shouldn't just be in all like, oh, well, la-di-da, we just said we were friends. So that means I should trust you even more now, even though we're in the most dangerous position that we've ever been in.
On the most dangerous planet in the world.
Exactly.
So is that the end of the summary?
That is the end of the summary.
I liked it. It's kind of building up tension.
The characters seem a little cardboard cutout-y to me.
I know that. I'll see that.
And the way that we know what's going on in everybody's head all the time is a little...
jarring?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it jarring. I'd call it...
It's certainly a different style of writing.
Yeah, it definitely is. But it makes it very interesting because, nothing is really a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know where everybody's coming from at every different point.
I hear you. Well, I think you'll be surprised by something.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Okay.
So that wrap it up. Do you like the chapter?
I did like the chapter. I really wish things would kind of start to get going.
Well, we're going chapter by chapter.
I know, we are doing chapter by chapter.
It's been a month since the last time we did this chapter.
But by the time, we're up to chapter 8, things should be kind of moving along by now, and I don't really get the sense that they are.
We're only 2 hours into an 11-hour book.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's about right.
Okay.
So they're building up tension.
They're building up tension with Jessica, but I don't know what's going on with anybody else.
Paul?
Paul is 16, and he's kind of
15, actually.
Yeah, but he's still kind of bumpkin-y.
Mm-hmm.
He's lived a very sheltered life. He's told... there's a difference between telling somebody something and having them actually, know and understand what they're telling you.
Okay.
And I think Paul knows that they're in, a dangerous situation. and that they have enemies and that they're going to this planet, but I don't think he really knows.
Okay, so rate the chapter. How do you like it?
I would rate the chapter a 6.5 or a 7 just because I wish things would start happening.
You do want excitement and adventure.
I would like some excitement and adventure, yes.
Okay. Let's end it right here.
Okay. All right, so this is Pickles and Necromedes, and we'll hope to see you next time for Pickles Picks. And we are listening to Dune. Next episode, we're going to start picking up at 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 54 seconds.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.